Good morning, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the developer chat for August 8th, 2018. I'm Will Hungerford. I'm a game developer at Privateer Press. That's Oz Schoonover. He's the game development manager at Privateer Press. That's Doug Seacat.
He's not a developer.
No, I'm a seat warmer today.
You're like
I'm filling in.
Yeah.
lead writer, writing. What is your official title these days?
Senior writer and continuity.
Senior writer in continuity. You're Doug Seacat. That's your title. Like,
sure.
Everybody knows Doug, right? Doug has been writing. So we will be talking about a little bit of lore today. Normally, this seat is held by Mr. Pagani, but Pagani had a babu. Pagani had a tiny little babu that came out the last day of Gen Con. Asher is with us now.
That's cool.
Yeah. So we will be having an Asher CID soon to make that baby better.
He's definitely unbalanced, I'm sure.
Oh, completely unbalanced. Way too much crying.
I've heard he has really good projectile vomit.
Is that right already?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Pagani's out for
Right
several
out the
weeks.
gate.
If you don't know what you're watching, we stream 3 times a week at twitch.tv/privateerpress, always at 10 a.m. Pacific. On Tuesdays, we do the weekly Rumble. That's where we get together, we play games. We've been playing a lot of Monpoc recently. We didn't yet last Tuesday because we were all still in mid-air coming back from Gen Con.
Yeah.
What you're watching now is Wednesday, the developer chat. Usually we talk about CID, but sometimes we talk about other developer-related topics like we will be doing today. Today we're going to be talking about the various Gen Con events that occurred and go through some of the lists that won. And Thursdays is Get Your Paint On with Dallas Kemp, our studio director, where he paints upcoming models, uses upcoming tips and tricks, just talks about the hobby in general and shows you all kinds of really cool things. Now, occasionally we do have a 4th show once a month, which we will have this Friday. Primecast, which is our live, it originally started as a podcast, now we do it live on Twitch, sort of our variety show, if you will. It's where we get a bunch of people from the different departments and we talk about all kinds of different things.
It's not really a variety show. There's not really like juggling and like
We should.
clowns.
We should
Although
do-
you should
it's
come
a
in
break.
in clown makeup one of these days.
Well, and we know several people play instruments, so
Yeah.
we should
Yeah.
really get
We
that
did a whole
going.
video of that. So if you're watching this later, you can also be seeing it on YouTube. youtube.com/privateerpressprime. We put all the videos up later on. So if you're like, I want to listen to Primecast as a podcast, well, you can. Just go to YouTube and watch them when they get uploaded later and just listen to it on your drive-in.
And if you're watching this on YouTube, keep in mind that we are doing this live whenever we did this live in the misty past. And we have chat on the screen up here, so anytime we glance over there, it's because we want to see what you guys that are watching right now are asking us and saying about stuff.
Yep.
Like Papagani in there.
Yep.
Pagani.
So, before we move on to today's topic, there's a couple cool things I want to talk about real fast so everybody's aware. First off, the current mini crate model. Current mini crate model is the Angel of Vengeance. It's the new Eris.
Looks
With
awesome.
wings.
With wings.
Yeah.
Take anything, give it angel wings, immediately doper.
Always
so,
looks
I mean,
cool.
yeah, you have till August 19th, so you still have 11 days to go and subscribe if you want to pick up the Eris Angel of Vengeance. If you're not familiar with Mini Crate, it's our monthly special miniature subscription service. And when a mini's done, it's done. There's no real way to go get it back unless we were ever to do like a crazy flashback sale or something, which I don't think, have we ever done a crazy flashback sale?
Nope.
I don't think we ever have, right?
Not-
So like, yeah,
not yet, no.
yeah. So we blow stuff up. We blow the molds up.
We make a certain amount and then we destroy the molds. Yes.
Yeah. So if you look at that model and you're like, man, that looks amazing, and you would be a reasonable person for thinking that, go to mini-crate.com, sign up now. Now, we had some other major mini crate news that occurred at Gen Con. We announced the Legend of the Five Rings mini crate.
Yeah, this is a separate mini crate. It's not models that are coming out in normal mini crate. It's its own. So we'll have 2 mini crates running at the same time
Yep.
when the L5R one comes out.
So in partnership with FFG, we are making Legend of the Five Rings miniatures. Those of you who haven't heard, L5R has an RPG that got announced about a month ago. So these are going to be great miniatures for the use of the RPG, and they're just going to be great miniatures in general if you're a fan of the setting or you like things that look amazing.
And
like,
you can also use them as tokens in the card game.
oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
super sweet. So I believe the first one is Takashi of the Dragon Clan. And if you want to go check out the Legend of the Five Rings mini crate, just go to mini-crate.com/L5R. So I'm super excited about getting some of these because honestly, like sweet looking ninja and samurai models are kind of hard to come by sometimes, and these are some really great looking ones.
Yeah, absolutely. And the first one looks great.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what they're going to do next. Have we talked at all about what's coming down the pike?
We've talked about the clan champions are going to be the parts of this
Right.
this first wave because they run in 6-month chunks. You get 6 minis, and then you get a bonus mini if you subscribe to the entire thing.
Right.
Yep. A couple of chats real fast. Dorian Clampett, DGC, as he's known in certain circles. It says no Facebook Live 8. We are having some technical difficulties right now where I'm not sure that Facebook is up on the stream right now, so it's going to be on Twitch. If you have anybody asking.
It's just an XSplit to Facebook issue. There's some deprecated fields that haven't been updated, so hooray.
Yeah, so Facebook may not be happening today.
It'll be up on YouTube later. But
Okay.
yeah,
Right.
no
So
Facebook.
If anybody's asking you right now while you're watching this, where is it on Facebook? Let them know. Twitch.tv/PrivateToPress. Come watch us right now. So let's jump into today's topic.
Sure.
Today's topic.
let's do it.
We're going to talk about the events that occurred at Gen Con.
Yeah.
Because Oz and myself, along with Travis Marg, several other staffers, and like we were joined by Aggie, we were down in events running Masters Champion narrative events, caster draft, the first ever new Monpoc tournament. And what we're going to talk about is those events. I have photos of the winning lists I make sure I took. So we'll talk about the list that won, or the top the final tables at Champions and Masters. Have you talked about the Monsterpocalypse tournament and how that went?
Yep.
And we're just going to talk about those events and go through them for a little bit.
Yeah, and answer any questions if you have any, and we can answer them.
Yeah. So let's start with the Monsterpocalypse tournament, which I want you to talk about how it went and sort of who won and what they were doing.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, there's something like kind of really cool I want to say.
Sure.
So when we were running a Monsterpocalypse tournament, we didn't know what to expect in terms of attendance.
No, we did not.
The game pre-released 2 days before.
Yeah, we were kind of nervous about it, right?
If you
Well, I
did-
was super nervous
If
about
you
it.
didn't buy your models on Thursday or Friday,
Yes.
you didn't have models to play in this tournament.
And it was a standard. We had the new Crush Hour rules. It was a standard one monster, 15 unit, 6 to 12 building event.
Yep.
On the clock, 30 minutes per player.
Yep.
And we were like, we might have 3 people. We might have 10
Yeah.
people. We might,
we might have
have
1,000 people.
We
Well,
might.
that seemed unlikely.
Yeah, we didn't know, right?
Yeah.
Because it's Gen Con. There's a lot going on. You
Yeah.
had to go get the models, put them together, and spend time. And like, very happy to announce that not only do we have a 20-person tournament, which is way bigger than we had expected, but we had a fully painted player
Yeah.
and several other players that had painted monsters and painted a few of their units as
Yep.
well in time to play for this. So
And we also had people poster puttying their models together as the tournament was starting.
yes,
So we had all levels.
they were
Yeah,
like
yeah.
blue tacking them
We
together.
had, we had a couple of models that were completely finished, and then we had some people that were like, "I gotta get this armist down." So that had a little bit back and forth.
I snuck over in the I guess it was sort of in the middle of it, right?
Yeah.
When I came by, and
Yeah.
some of the paint schemes were really good. Like I was expecting maybe there'd just be quick little base coat or whatever, but there were a couple really nicely painted.
And nobody
models.
that painted their models had studio schemes.
No.
There was
All,
like,
All American Defender X is a real thing.
Yeah, that one.
All
was
American
great.
Defender X is a real thing. Like, get ready to see a lot of that. But so
Yeah.
tell us about the tournament itself, how the first ever Crush Hour ran, because while I wrote the rules and I know you did proofing on them, this is the first time we did a
Oh, yeah.
public
Yeah,
run
yeah.
of them. And
So we had a lot of returning Monsterpocalypse players.
We did.
Because when we were doing demos throughout the entire show in the booth, that was what I was doing most days. We had a lot of people coming up and being excited that the game was back.
Yeah.
And then we had a lot of people that came through the booth that had never, ever touched the game before because it came out in 2008 and it was around for a couple of years. But there were a lot of people that missed it. Like they've seen it on the shelves at like in discount stores and stuff because those products are still out there. And a lot of people thought, well, so these all come pre-painted, and like I have to buy random boxes. So we had to do a lot of like, no, this is a brand new game.
Right.
It's a hobby game and all that stuff. So one of the coolest things about the tournament is that we had returning players.
Yes.
People that had been in Monpoc tournaments at Gen Con back in 08 and 09.
I still can't believe it's been 10 years.
Yeah.
we old now, man.
Yeah,
But
getting
we
old.
also had 4 people who had never played Monsterpocalypse before.
Yes.
Cool.
I think 1 or 2 of them had tried out games like with their friends when they bought their stuff on Thursday and
Right.
Friday. But a few of them were just coming in and did not know anything about the game and still had a lot of fun playing.
Yeah.
Of course, our winner was the person who had practiced the most and was ready for the new edition.
Was that Jeff?
That was
Jeff Fredrickson.
Yes, Jeff and his girlfriend Michelle were the top finishing table because they had both been playing a lot.
And if
so
I'm not,
they were ready for.
And if I'm not
this
mistaken, they
tournament.
had basically gotten all the spoilers of what everything did from these streams.
Yes.
Sort of put it all together so they
Nice.
knew what the models were going to
Yeah.
be available and what the actual final rules were from watching Weekly Rumble and other ones, and played like I think it was 17 games.
Jeff,
Wow.
Jeff said he played 17 games total with the games they played Thursday and Friday after they bought their stuff.
Yeah.
But he was super excited. As soon as he got screen caps of stuff, he started playing this version of Monsterpocalypse.
Yep.
But that wasn't the only thing. I mean, that was the final of two players that knew what they were doing, having a really close game. But we had all kinds of other really fun and interesting games. And one of the best things about it was there were two starters, right? Defender X and Gorgadra, and
But we had Brood Rush there.
and guard units and Planeater units. But two players at least, it might have been three, threw Brugrush in.
Cool.
And didn't have any Lords of Cthulhu units, so they weren't getting his full synergies, but they were still playing a monster that like nobody's seen yet before.
Yeah.
Because we haven't had Brugrush on the stream. We haven't previewed his card. Like, no one knew what he did.
Just dark horsing as hard as they possibly can.
And suddenly you're like, well, what's that thing across? And it's the drinking the beer one.
Yeah,
So he's really awesome looking. We're gonna play with my version of him next week on Tuesday. Me and Will Schick are gonna play a Defender X Zor Maxim versus Brugrush and Gorgadra game. Two monsters and 20 units, at least 20 units, maybe up to 20 units. I don't know how many Schick has, but I got some stuff. I'm ready to play that game.
So one thing I found very exciting is so you have 30 minutes per player in a one monster game. I believe it's 45 minutes in a two monster game.
Yeah.
Nobody clocked.
No, a couple people did.
Did they?
We had a couple
I got
people,
told nobody clocked.
Like,
I was lied to.
we had 2 or 3 people clock themselves.
Okay.
But it was mostly the new players that were still learning the rules of how does Monsterpocalypse work. Did
Sure.
Travis tell you nobody clocked?
Man, my exciting news just got ruined live, and I'm super sad.
It always happens.
So let's move on to the next event.
Well, I just wanted
But-
to say one thing real quick is I had not had a chance to really look very closely at the models before Gen Con, and seeing them on the table in the tournament, to me, it really impressed me with the size difference.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't know, it was just one of those things where seeing even, Dallas painting them and stuff, it just kind of hadn't sunk in until I saw them on the table, and those models looked
Did you see
really
Terracon
good.
at Dallas?
Oh, yeah,
Terracon's
Dallas.
huge.
Dallas was painting up Terracon, and it's amazing.
He's so big.
And I love the pterosaurs. That's what I'm waiting for.
The best thing that happened during that entire tournament, though. So I'm standing
Yeah, go
there.
ahead.
It's like round 2 or whatever. I think we played 5 rounds. I'm just hanging out, waiting for judge calls because we had a decent number of tables, but they weren't really far apart. So I was just kind of in the middle. And this guy walks up, and he's like, "What you guys doing?" And I'm like, "Monsterpocalypse." And he's like, "Oh, cool, Monsterpocalypse, but you can't buy that game anymore, and it's just it's pretty cool." And I told him, I'm like, "No, this is the brand new version. It just came out at Gen Con." And he just his face just exploded.
His face exploded?
Basically, because he had been a very casual Monsterpocalypse player back a couple years ago, and he had always played with his friends' models because his friends had plenty of models, and he had liked it, but he never dove in because of the collectability and some of that stuff.
Sure.
And as soon as I told him, "No, you can go buy it in the booth right now,"
He died.
Monsterpocalypse is back.
He died.
He just got super excited
Because
And
his
we
face
talked.
exploded.
Well, kind of. We talked about how excited he was for a couple minutes, and then I think he ran off and bought some models.
Well, I hope he ran to the hospital.
Well, your face when it explodes like that, it's fine.
It's
You're
not
safe.
permanent.
It grows back.
It goes back every time.
That's how that works.
Uh-huh.
So Monpok event went super awesome.
Yeah.
Next thing we'll talk about is champions. This is one of the first big champions that happened post the ADR rotation after lock and load with the new version of champions with theme forces being required, needing only one list. They're not being DNC anymore. All that the good stuff, right? So the event went great. I believe it was 4 spots short of completely full, which was really great. It's also Gen Con.
That's a lot of time to dedicate at Gen Con.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at Gen Con, any given tournament being 100% of capacity is such a rarity because inevitably somebody's like, I have to go do this other thing, right? Or somebody stayed out too late.
Or I
the night
didn't
before.
sleep last
I didn't
night,
sleep
yeah.
last
Yeah.
night. So
Especially that started early, right?
they started early.
Yeah,
they
ours
started
did too. But yeah, I'm never surprised when a 9 a.m. registration thing doesn't have everybody that even pre-reg for it because someone stayed up too late.
And this was on Saturday.
Yeah,
It was Saturday morning.
It was a couple days in the agenda.
So I want to talk about the finals, which was Anthony Gibbs, who was also in the Masters finals, versus John Jensen. And basically, they had an amazing game. Anthony ended up winning. Congrats, Anthony, on being the champion's champion. But I wanted to just sort of, one thing we haven't done on Dev Chat before is tell people the lists that were being played and the list that made the top, just so that everybody knows. So I'm going to go over what the 2 lists that Anthony brought, this new ADR rotation, and the 2 lists that John brought, just for everyone's sort of edification and discussion. So I have them on my phone, so I will read them. Anthony brought Signard. He brought Gravediggers and Heavy Metal. So his Heavy Metal list was led by Cray, Triple Centurion, Firefly, Squire. He had Arlen Strangeways, Ian and Holt being led by Murdoch, and a pair of Stormstriders. By the way, Anthony's Stormstriders actually have a plasma ball.
Yeah.
Oh,
I saw
yeah,
that.
yeah. That
Yeah.
looked awesome.
This list is such a beating if you don't have armor answers. Like it,
Oh yeah,
It-
yeah. The
it-
Centurions, 3 of them.
New Cray just does things with Jax in a way that you know, and a lot of people have not had time to practice against New Cray after he. I mean, the CID for him was quite some time ago. It was during the Trencher CID.
It was a while ago.
But not everyone's had time to practice against him. And I saw Anthony definitely get some people with, you know, they were used to old Cray, and they had not maybe got enough reps in against new Cray, and this list is just brutal. And it was paired beautifully with a list that just does basically the polar opposite. It was a Gravediggers list led by Siege 2 with Ironclad and a Triumph, and just dudes for days. The list exactly was Finn, Hitch, Ragman, double Trench Buster, again Ion and Holt with Murdoch, 2 Trencher Express teams, 2 max units of Trencher Infantry, both with officers and snipers.
Wow.
So
That's a lot of
you have this heavy metal list, and then you have like the full platoon of trenchers.
Yeah.
Those both sound like pretty awesome looking lists too. Like
They-
just to see them on the table.
They did, and Anthony has some really great conversions. They looked awesome.
Yeah.
But as an opponent going in to face that, you see that these are your 2 options, and you're like, whew, like, what am I dropping into this? You
Yeah.
know, and you kind of have to look at what questions is your own lists asking, and which one do you think maybe he has the worst time against? You know?
Right.
Personally, I would, this was Champions. You know, you don't have the full selection of everything. But like, if I was playing my minions in a normal tournament, I saw these, I'd be dropping Maylock like quad posse and being like, okay, can you chew through all this? The answer is yes.
Right.
So that was Anthony's list. Congratulations on winning, Anthony. His opponent in the finals was John Johnson, and we'll really quickly go through his list because I think one of them was pretty funny. He was playing Armored Core. He had Sorcerer 3 with a War Dog, Beast 09, and a Rager. He had the new Man of War Siege Chariot, a Man of War Dracoon, a Forge Seer, a Strike Tanker, and a Suppression Tanker, Shock Troopers Maximum with the UA, Demo Corps Maximum with Drago, Commandant Autonomous, and Battle Mechanics. So just this big, beefy...
Heavy armor
Yeah.
everywhere.
So what would you think he would pair with this sort of, you know, Sorcerer 3, she's really good at protecting them against the Alpha, you defeat with the Cloud Wall, then you get to send Man of War in there and, you know, possibly get the first strike, and then they have to deal with you afterwards. So that's a pretty nasty list. What would you think he would
What's
pair?
the ADR for Kato right now?
Oh, that's a long list. But it's Jaws of the Wolf is what his other list was. And is he paired heavy armor and beef with more beef. So his second list was Jaws of the Wolf, Butcher 1, a War Dog, 6 Devastators and Ruin,
Wow.
2 Forge Seers, and a Widowmaker Marksman. So if you're looking at those lists, you're like,
That's all. That's just all armor.
holy God, what am I supposed to do against this?
Wow.
And I think what John was probably doing was looking at his opponent's answers of how much armor cracking did they have.
Right.
If they were on the lower end, he could face the Man of War list, which I think the Man of War list can be a little bit more brutal. But if he saw that there was a deficiency where he could skew super hard, that Butcher 1 list just goes in, and it's like, okay, good luck hurting.
It's also
anything.
very rare to say that the Man of War list is the more mobile list. That has the more speed.
But it is.
in it. But yeah, all those warjacks in that Butcher list. That's a solid block of metal coming at you.
So
And so how did the fight go down?
that was the thing. I was into running the another event during it, so
okay.
I did not
Didn't
get
get a
to
chance
watch
to
the
see it?
final match. I came up as they were finishing, shook their hands, told them great job, and then took photos of their
Right.
their lists.
Travis,
So
fill in for Hungerford and do his job for him. I know you're in chat, so go ahead and
Yeah,
feel
maybe
free
we'll
to
get-
give your little play-by-play.
He's right there.
He's right
now.
there.
He just said 2 to 4 a.m. or bust, which is an inside joke about what we did at Jim.
yeah. While Travis is, because Travis Marg, Dank Legacy, for those of you who don't know him, Dank is one of the judges you'll see at a lot of events, and he was head judging the Masters final table and the Champions final table. His answer is, I'm at lunch. Good job, Travis. Another question we got is, good job, John. You've really called in a specialist. I feel like Pawn starts. Let's get a specialist in. Specialist rolls in. He's like, meh, walks away.
Being at lunch is no excuse.
Real fast, Riker's Iron says, when can we expect the tournament package rules for Monpok to land? Very soon. I actually just got the final versions in proofing. They should be a matter of weeks. And do an estimate of the launch event, the first narrative event for Monpok, September. Both Crush Hour, the tournament, and Isle of Annihilation both happen in September. So you'll see both those rules coming out soon.
Yep.
So, speaking of narrative, did you see the narrative event that happened at all?
Yeah, Borsgate made it to Jim Con again.
Yeah, Borsgate.
Borsgate, all of it, all 16 feet.
Yeah, so
That's a great table.
Yeah.
I'm sad that you weren't there because
Yeah, I wish I could have been there.
but you had other things you were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to talk about this really briefly. We ran the Boars Gate event, which right now we're kind of in the sequel stage where Boars Gate happened. Boars Gate sort of got wrecked. Holden got pulled out and became Hollow Holden.
And the Grimkin decided they just like living there now, right? Like they
So-
moved in basically.
The current storyline of what's happening is Ord has hired contractors to go try and get as many materials as they possibly can to repair the damages at that outer edge of Boars Gate and to go collect some of like the cortexes and stuff scattered across the ground.
Lots of
ammunition.
good scavenge, I'm sure.
Exactly. And so you've got these Ordic allies going in, but at the same time, there are, like you said, there are scavengers. So it's a big team event. Ordic contractors versus scavengers all fighting over like cortexes, ammunition dumps, and stuff like that. But the problem is the Grimkin are kind of manipulating things so that everyone keeps showing up at the same time and fighting.
Sure.
And Holden is kind of haunting the place. And
Probably not like by his choice.
no, not at all. Not at all. So the coolest aspect of the narrative event, on top of it being this giant 8v8 mega battle, which we got some amazing photos of, and people have like siege ladders they get to put to get on top of the wall, and like rope tokens where they like rappel down the side of the wall, and you can like run up the rubble. It's got so many cool special narrative little bits. It's still a game of War Machine, but it's a ton of fun. Is every player gets a plot twist token.
Right.
And once per game during their activation, they can spin their plot twist and describe something really cool they want to do. And when I've run it or when Getz has run it, we narrate it and then explain to them how it works.
Right.
So examples we've seen is somebody with acrobatics running up the side of a colossal, leaping off its shoulders and landing on the wall.
Yeah.
Some really cool examples we saw this time is Striker 2 wanted to use his feet in a different way. Instead of everyone moving and making the attack at the end, he wanted to give everybody his control range plus 3 inches of movement and then get an additional attack. And I was like, so you basically want to overcharge your feet? He was like, sure. And I was like, okay, but you have to take 3 dice damage overcharge like you're normally doing, and then you get to do it.
So you could have just killed him flat out.
He rolled a 15.
Oh,
His whole
yeah.
team was just like watching. It was like, oh, what's about to happen? But did you get a chance to come check it out at all?
No, I didn't get over to that one. But so tell me about the teams. Like what kind of faction lineups?
That's my
do we
favorite
have?
thing about this, because when we say Ordic, mercenaries, and scavengers,
It
we
could be
don't
whatever.
restrict who's on what team.
Yeah, and you can't, right? When players
Yeah.
show up, you get to see
Yeah.
people on both sides. So like, the idea, the narrative is that the Grimkin are manipulating who's showing up and how
Right.
they ever got there. That's why sometimes Scorn is on the Ordic contractor
Sure.
side,
Yeah,
or
why not?
like you have Signar and Bloody Barnabas working right next side by side.
Right,
Like,
that's a fun pairing.
The idea, like at the beginning of the narrative, we described that everyone has sort of arrived here in a haze. Like
Right.
the armor, the soldiers have arrived, kind of just forgetting how they got here. They marched, and all of a sudden they look around, and there's
Right.
all these armies arrayed, and then just battle breaks
Yeah.
out.
Just another day of hell in the Iron Kingdoms.
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
Well, it would be fun to do just kind of like a mock narrative thing with the weird faction team ups. Like, I'd love to see Bloody Barnabas talking to Stryker. You know, like
Sure.
see that going down.
Yeah.
Deciding to, I guess we're on the same side now.
Yeah. My favorite plot twist that got used though is to keep things going. Each team activates simultaneously, and each team has 20 minutes.
Okay.
So when 20 minutes goes by, the next team activates, and they all go at the same time.
Which
So-
20 minutes is pretty fast for.
But it was 50-point armies, and
Okay.
everyone was able to manage,
Okay.
except for the team captain during the second game. She was playing Circle. She had Getorix, and Getorix was coming off the wall and just mowing through the enemy. And time ran out. And she was like, plot twist. And she's like, using the power of Haley.
Oh no.
Time stops.
Offboard.
But Getorix keeps going. Because there was like a Signar on her team.
Okay,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
And I was like, she's like, I just want to finish Getorix activation. And I was like, that's entirely
That's
too
pretty
cool.
cool, yeah.
So like I narrated like, things slow down and everyone stops and looks over as there's this blur of motion off to the side as Getorix like speeds up.
Nice.
This heat-seeking fur missile.
Yeah. So if you've never played any of the narrative events, when you come to one of the big cons like Adepticon, Lock and Load, or Gen Con, and you want something that's different, it's not competitive at all. Take an RPG and War Machine and combine them. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And didn't in one of them you had, like in the first one, you had like a colossal that got taken over by a swarm of gremlins?
Oh, that
and
happened
stuff
again
like
this
that?
one.
Oh, did it?
There was a galleon on the wall just dragging people up the wall and then batting them off.
Yeah.
And somebody was playing Grimkin, and they used their plot twist to have their gremlin swarmers get in the legs and make it walk off the wall.
Yeah.
So it just like,
That's my favorite thing with those is just to see the wacky ideas that people come up with, because it's a double combo. It's like whoever's playing has to come up with some kind of weird explanation for however they're trying to get ahead.
Yeah.
And then you have to think up
a rule.
How is this actually
Yeah.
working? What am I going to let them get away with? And usually, it seems like when you guys are doing it, the larger the thing that you allow them to do, the worse the punishment. There'll also be like a cost.
Yes,
So,
it's
like-
super crazy broken. Like, and it specifically. So, like you, I've GM'd RPGs for 20 years.
Yeah,
now.
sure.
And so when somebody wants to do something, you have to also consider everyone else around the table.
Right.
And make sure that like they get to do the cool proactive thing, but not at the cost of someone else's
Yeah,
fun.
it's got to be fun for everybody else, and that means bad things have to happen too.
Yeah, and sometimes
Yeah.
you have to tone back their effects. Somebody used a plot twist where they wanted to wrap the person's caster in complete darkness so that they couldn't move whatsoever.
Right.
And I was like,
It's too limiting on
that's
the
too
other guy.
limiting. So what we did instead was that caster could not run or charge during their turn, as they were being held back by these tendrils of darkness.
Right.
But they still got to go with the caster and do stuff.
Sure.
And I was like, when they first described it, it was like shadow binds, they could shake it. And they're like, no, he can't move at all. And I was like, that's a
too
bit
strong.
much.
Yeah.
And it's the other cool thing that happened before we move on to the next event real fast. We had a player in the second Boars Gate who had played one game of War Machine.
Oh wow.
And he was playing in that, and he was super, super nervous. Hi, Damien. And when the thing started, I looked not just at his teammates on the side of him, but the three opponents he had directly across from him. And I said, this is Damien's second game of War Machine ever. Help him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they totally did.
That's cool.
They walked Damien through like everything, and they're like, oh yeah, go here, do this, and then like make this, and here's what you need to hit, and like they were super helpful. And at the end of it, he was like super anxious, but he wanted to do it, and at the end, he had a really great time.
Well, and I think
Yeah.
that's the thing. It's like the narrative event. It's similar to the same goals as you have in any game, but especially like a role playing game where it's like we're all here. We're trying to make the most fun, craziest story possible.
Yeah.
We're working together to do that. That might mean I'm kicking your ass during part of it, but like all in all, everybody is contributing toward the same story.
Yeah, no one wins the IKRPG, right?
Yeah,
There's no winner at the table. It's just,
Yeah.
we all have fun or we all don't have fun.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's move on to the last event I want to cover real fast, which was the Masters. So the finalist in the Masters was again Anthony Gibbs was third place. John Carter was second place. You probably heard his name. He's been doing well in events for quite some time for now. And first place was Ben Hampshire from I believe the UK. So I'm going to go over Ben and John's list real fast. And again, Ben, congrats on your Masters win. Ben was playing Grimkin, and I'm looking at Ben's player sheet that I took a photo of right now, and it says Pat Dunford scratched out Ben Hampshire because these lists are going to look really familiar, folks. Ben was playing Grimkin. He was playing Dark Menagerie in both. His first list was Dreamer, 3 Cage Ragers, 2 Skin and Moans, 3 Gorehounds, 2 Crabbits, 4 Gremlin Swarms, and a Death Knell. If that sounds familiar, it's because it was in the IG finals that Pat Dunford just won.
Yeah.
We know what that list does.
That list
it's real
seems
good.
to be pretty good.
Now, to really, really mix things up and make it super different, his second list was Old Witch 3, 2 Cage Ragers, 2 Skin and Moans, 2 Rattlers, Gorehound, Frightmare, Crabbit, 4 Gremlin Swarms, and a Death Knell. So Ben was just consistent in what he was bringing.
Well, yeah, it means you don't have to pack as much stuff into your bags.
You don't.
Yeah.
And basically, I think his main list was the Dreamer list, and he was bringing Old Witch as a contingency against certain matchups the Dreamer would be bad in.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So John Carter,
Of
brought-
Florida, by the way.
John
not-
Carter
not
of Florida,
Mars.
not of Mars. I promise you, he's tired of hearing that.
The chat just lit up with those jokes as
Sure.
soon as,
Yeah.
as soon as we said it out loud.
John Carter brought Convergence, and he brought Double Destruction Initiative, and his lists were he brought Orion. He had a Corollary, a Diffuser, 2 Inverters, a Cipher, 2 Assimilators, and a Mitigator. It was a typical Convergence battle group of nothing but jacks. He had 9 Elimination Servitors. He had a single ADO and an Optifex Directive. His second list was one that I think a lot of people will recognize and be terrified of. It was Axis, Double Inverter, Triple Galvanizer, Conservator Corollary, Double Transfinite Emergence Projector,
I saw that list, yeah. Yeah.
9 Elimination Servitors, 9 Attunement Servitors, and an Optifex Directive. So they played a really hard-fought game, and in the end, Ben managed to get it out. But it was great seeing them, and the sportsmanship at the top levels, both this one and the Anthony Gibbs, John Jensen level. Watching everybody play for the few moments I got to walk by, and like I saw Anthony and John at the end. I didn't go watch their game, but they were both smiling and having a great time.
Yeah.
I did get to go to the Ben John game a couple times, and just the level of play, the level of sportsmanship, and the fun they were having was really awesome to see. And their models are painted like John's army looks like old rusted, like oxidized
Yeah.
Convergence.
Oh,
And it
that's
just looks
cool.
super
I've never
cool.
seen
Does it have
like
orange
that.
lights too?
I think it does.
I think it has all the lighting effects of orange right there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pictures of him putting that list together and painting it on the forums in the hobby
Oh,
section.
cool. I'll have to check that out. I haven't seen that one.
Yeah. So before we do things, was there any other event coverage you really wanted to talk about?
No, that was about it.
And you didn't. I know you were mainly in the booth. You were checked out some of the Monpoc demos, didn't you? Though.
I didn't do Monpoc demos. I was more doing. We were having kind of a. We had a table, a really awesome looking table of sort of a Trollblood Fortress,
Yeah.
just to lure people in that had never played War Machine and Hordes before.
And then blackjack them.
Yeah, and so I was during about half my time, I was just talking to people about the game and the world. You know, people would come wandering up. You know, they'd see the cool looking. Models and just be like, what's this? And so, just kind of enter into a little bit of spiel about what War Machine was. I was surprised how many people, it's been 15 years, right? Like, I was surprised how many people still had just never had a chance to try it out or to see how it works.
Every Gen Con has slightly more people at it.
That's
almost,
true.
And a lot of those people sometimes have never come before. I talked to a guy super late one night, like Thursday night. He had watched a live stream of someone doing something cool at Gen Con.
Right.
He had gotten his car and he had driven 5 hours.
Wow.
He had never been to Gen Con before.
That's pretty cool.
The people at the door let him in, even
Wow.
though he didn't have a badge, because it was like 11:30 at night, and he just couldn't get to his badge yet.
That's pretty
So
amazing.
like that kind of thing still happens where people are like,
Yeah.
Gen Con's happening. I just found out I gotta go. So you
That's
never
pretty
know
cool. Yeah.
who's gonna come by the booth who's never seen anything
Yeah,
we've
yeah.
done before.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was all ages, all different kinds of people just coming to find out what it was, what is the Iron Kingdoms, how there were just tons of different questions.
Learning
So-
this giant immersive world.
Yeah,
that you
so
can, like, throw
it was
yourself in.
it was really fun to talk to people. Like there were a couple of guys that came up who had tried to start the game before, but had run into some obstacles and just had some questions about basic stuff on how it played. Tried to give them some tips.
Sure.
Talk some people into what kind of factions might be the best ones for what they were doing, so anyway, it was a lot of just talking to new people who were unfamiliar with the setting, and I really enjoyed it.
So I spent a lot of time over in that area as well. And yeah, I think that's still my favorite thing working here is helping people find their army.
Yeah.
And them coming back Gen Cons or lock and loads or sometime later, like telling me about their new lists and those armies and things like that. It's just awesome.
Well, and it's especially cool to see somebody who's maybe younger, who's just like they've never seen it before, and their eyes just light up, like they didn't know this was even a possible thing.
Yeah.
They're like, what is this? And they just immediately want to get their stuff, put stuff together.
So before we cut things, and we'll probably sit on for maybe another 5 minutes. Let's get some. There's been a lot of questions in the Twitch chat. So there's one I want to get to real fast that I saw. Riker's Iron says, "Summer Rampage has begun. When can we expect the details on the conversion contest?" And his next question is regarding the Monpoc coloring contest. The rules say 1 entry per person, but the community is saying it's unlimited. Which is it? So John, when do the conversion contest details go up?
Conversion contest details will be going up this week.
Okay, and the Monpoc coloring contest, is it 1 entry per person or unlimited?
I answered that on Twitter, but I will answer it again here. Only 1 entry will be considered. You can post as many you want with the hashtag, but me and the other judges will just pick our favorite of your submission. So only 1 is considered, but you can color as many as you
So
want.
if you only want to win one specific one, only enter that one.
You got Gen Con voice.
I know.
By the way,
if you're like,
if we're a little gravelly, we've got Gen Con
it's-
voice.
My voice is still catching up. It's somewhere in Kansas right now. But if you're like, I want this model painted by the studio painters, don't enter like 100 things, because then that might not be the one we like the most.
That's kind of true, but I mean, I'll see all of them because the internet does that. You just have to remember to put that hashtag on it. FP3 my monster.
Grinaldi says, "Is there any word on when the Tharn CID may start?"
In the future.
Yeah, it's coming very soon. We have not set the specific date. We were at Gen Con. We just got back from Gen Con. We have to review all the Supreme Guardian CID information that we were trying to keep up with as much as we possibly could at Gen Con, but obviously we were at Gen Con.
Yep.
So we want to get caught up completely on that. So it'll be soon. We will hopefully be able to let you know the next dev chat next week when it'll be starting, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
Another question that came up a few times. People have been asking about when are the next books. coming out from Skull Island. One of the things, I don't have, unfortunately, any news right now. It's one of those things where if we don't have a product that's immediately coming out that I can tell you about, I can't really talk about what's coming up. I wish I had something sexy to tell you about with an upcoming novel, but I do not have anything, any news on that front right now.
Well, it's the same with all of our production schedules. The farther they are out, the more they could shift.
Yeah.
So if we say, well, this is coming out in a month, then it might jump around.
Right.
Ralph Troll asked earlier, will there be any battle report videos from Gen Con? We did not do any streaming or recording at Gen Con. We did not bring them the equipment. So unless another player brought a camera, but I don't remember seeing any tripod setup or any cameras. So I don't think there will be any video battle reports from Gen Con, which is kind of the reason on this dev chat I wanted to talk about the winning lists. I didn't know if they had been posted yet, and I wanted people to know what the top lists were and who was playing.
Sure.
I think that's all. Like a lot of the questions have been kind of related to the ones we already answered, except for someone wants to know what they're supposed to do with a second desert hydra for the contest. Play 2 desert hydras.
Other than all the winning.
I mean, sure.
More heads, more better.
Just last thing before we go, is the mystery crate still going or is that over?
That is still going.
Okay, where do they go to pick that up?
Store.privateerpress.com. It's right
So if
on
you
the front
haven't heard
page.
about this, we have
Dope.
we're making a little bit of space in the warehouse, and part of that is we're going to offer you the best deal you've ever heard in your life. It's about $250, $260 worth of materials, and we're selling it for what?
Between 230 and 240 guaranteed. Some of them are a little,
Yes.
obviously going to be a little spicier.
Yeah, and it's what?
$60.
$60. It's guaranteed to have a huge base in it.
Yeah, large base, guaranteed.
Large base or huge base guaranteed?
Last I saw it said large base.
Oh, I thought it said.
I think that's a typo.
Could
thought
be
it-
a typo.
I thought
but
it said
I will-
huge base on
I will
Twitter.
double check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this isn't just us like going, oh look, there's a whole bunch of this. Let's put it in this box.
No.
It's a variety.
No, people have been a couple people have already received theirs because we're shipping them out constantly, and they are delightful.
Yeah, there's some really good
There's
stuff
also
in there.
templates and stuff.
I want to see some unboxing videos online. Hey, if you got your mystery crate in, if you could do an unboxing video, post it on Facebook or Twitter, like that.
PP unboxing is the hashtag.
Yeah, let me know if you get the answer on that huge base. 'Cause I thought it said the huge base.
I thought it
everybody.
said guaranteed one use base.
In fact, I know that's what I read.
I'm almost positive that's what I read as well.
Ralph Troll wants to know real fast before we get out of here. This is a Doug question. What books would be best to start reading about the Legion of Everblight?
I'm blanking on the name of it right now. What is Thagrosh's feat again? Because there's a novel that's.
I don't remember.
Is it Mutagenesis?
Okay.
We do have a couple of Legion of Everblight pieces of fiction.
Dark.
I just can't. I'm just blanking on it right now.
I got to play the feat name game. I'm usually really good at the feat name game.
Mutagenesis is right. So
Yeah.
Anyway,
Mutagenesis is a spell.
It's
that's
I
the
can't
spell.
remember.
not
I
the
think
feat.
it's a novella instead of a full novel, but it's a really good piece that kind of gets into those Thagrosh's background.
Yeah.
When he first met Everblight, so to speak.
That one, that you get to meet him before
Yeah.
anything when he's just an Ogren
Right.
being horribly mistreated.
Exactly. Otherwise, I don't think we don't have a lot of standalone Legion material right now. If you can get a hold of older Mark II material, there's a lot of stories and that weave that stuff together. But we don't have a compilation of that as yet.
Yeah.
And John, you said huge base?
Yes.
Guaranteed.
Huge base
Yes.
guaranteed in every
Yep.
box. Okay, I thought I read that and I was like, oh God, has there been a terrible mistake? All right, everybody. So we're going to get out of here. Don't forget, join us tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific, for Get Your Paint On with Dallas Kemp. And this is the special week. We are having Primecast at Friday. Schick and I will be hosting. We'll have a variety of people on to talk about their Gen Con experiences and a lot of other cool things
And
going
that's
on
also at 10
privateerpress.com.
a.m. Pacific, right?
Also
Yep.
10 a.m. Pacific. And last chance before we go, Mini Crate, mini-crate.com. The special Winged Eris is available till August 19th, and also mini-crate.com/L5R. You can check out the super duper sweet Takashi Legend of the Five Rings model. If you're interested in learning more about Monsterpocalypse and the Crush Hour events when they go live, go to monsterpocalypse.com, where the free rules are available for downloading now, and you should see those models on your store shelves very soon.
Yeah, September is the official release date, so those will all be in stores really, really soon.
Yep. So I think that covers about everything. Doug, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
man.
Happy to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love having you on. You have such a nicer voice than Pagan.
We're all suffering from Gen Con voice.
No, your voice actually sounds like normal.
Almost normal.
Yeah, it
Almost
sounds totally normal.
Yeah.
So, all right, everybody, we will see you tomorrow for Get Your Paint On and Friday for Primecast. Until
Yep.
next time, Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye. See you next week because I'm not on Primecast because I got to stay home and sleep this voice off.
I mean, you could come in anyway.
You should have some tea, honey tea.